Hi, Julie Jones from SSB Performance, Smarter, Stronger, Better Mindset Training. Here with this week's Mindset Made Simple Tip of the Week. Happy Labor Day weekend. This week we're talking about the different ways that we care about our performance and why these ways matter. A couple weeks ago when I was at Portland State, I got to watch practice and it was awesome. And they did a drill, I think they called it 82 if I'm recalling correctly. In this drill, they went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, making shots from different ranges, layups, mid-range jumpers, three-pointers, and they got to 81. 81. Not bad, because it was the first time they had done it since they'd been back on campus. So, okay, tomorrow we get 82. But when they brought it in, they talked about a whole bunch of different things, right? After the drill, Coach Greg talked for a couple seconds, and then she gave me a chance to talk about not the technical and tactical parts of the drill, but my observation that they were being so careful on certain shots, so careful in their release to try to make the shot. And it got us then talking later in the day about the ways that we care about our performance. And there are three ways that we broke it down: being careful, being careless, and being carefree. And as you can imagine, only one of those is really good for our performance. Let's talk about the ways that we care. First, being careful. Being careful is full of thought. It comes from our conscious mind interrupting our subconscious mind, which that subconscious mind is where we want to be when the ball's in our hand and we're just getting ready to shoot. Boom, it's in. Or boom, there we go. Or boom, let's get this conversation going, or whatever it is that we're doing. But being careful comes from worrying about the outcome, worrying about what the coach is going to think about this shot, worrying about the last three shots that we missed, worrying about whether we came off of our foot the right way. There's no points for pretty, I used to tell our team. But that careful thought inhibits our ability to perform because we're not trusting our talent and our training. And the guy that signed Jackie Robinson years ago, his name, Brent Richie, pretty cool guy, very interested in winning games and thought that having Jackie Robinson on his team would be really helpful, broke the color barrier in Major League Baseball. He is coined with the quote that a full mind is an empty bat. Well, it goes the same for basketball. A full mind is an empty bucket. No bucket is coming if we're thinking too much. I read a while ago in a book that our muscles get together every night and they drink a beer together and they say, if she'd only trust me. Being careful about our play seems like, we really care about it. But truthfully, it's not trustful. It's thoughtful. And not thoughtful in a good way. It's full of thought that takes us away from doing what we're trained to do. Our brain gets in the way. Our conscious mind starts to ask questions, too many questions at the moment. Am I doing it? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. What if? Not plan, go. Think, trust. Being careful doesn't help us. Well, if being careful doesn't help us, how about being careless? Well, I listened to a podcast the other day. It's called The Dirt from the NFCA, National Fast Pitch Coaches Association. And Dr. Joanna Lane, who is the host of the podcast, says she can't stand it when kids say, I just want to care less. I wish I didn't care. I don't care. Why? Because when we're in a careless state, or we want to care less, that means that we are giving in to our emotion. Our emotions are controlling us. We act as if we're not in control. We are reacting instead of using our responsibility. The other type of careless play would be that kid that runs slam into the fence when we have practiced a million times the seat slide, catch the ball the same way, or puts their cleats in the fence, but it looks like they're giving full effort, but actually it's careless because they're going to be going against the number one rule of peak performance from last week of being available because injury is imminent. So being careless is when we give in to our emotion and we act as if we cannot control how we feel. We are controlled by our circumstances. Stephen Covey, or Covey, however you want to say it, says, I am not a product of my circumstances. I am a product of my choices. So we are choosing in careless play to let our emotions run us. And we know that our thoughts and our emotions change our behavior. Performance is a behavior. Behavior is a choice. and we're letting that run the show. So careless play isn't helpful either, which leads us to the third care, which is being carefree. Playing carefree. That doesn't mean we don't care. That doesn't mean we're being careful. That means we are getting present. We're changing the narrative that our muscles are having over our beer. They're saying, oh my gosh, she trusts us. We're trusting the plan. We are thinking when we need to think, and we are trusting when we need to trust. I often talk with my basketball players about having trust zones and think zones. And we have to put some boundaries on ourselves on what those look like. One of the professors from the University of Pennsylvania, one of the leading researchers in positive psychology, Dr. Csikszentmihalyi, says, the best moments in our lives are not the passive, receptive, relaxing times. The best moments usually occur if a person's body or mind is stretched to its limits in a voluntary effort to accomplish something difficult and worthwhile, that we are trusting the training and we're in there competing. Carefree seems laissez-faire, but if you look at what the synonyms of laissez-faire are, they are restrictive, not restricted, trusting. Let's see, what are we? Relaxed, permissive. These are the ways that we can be present and engaged in our performance. How do we get there? How do we get out of careful, careless to carefree? Well, one way we can do this is to take a page out of Drew Brees' playbook. Every day when he drove to the facility for practice, he took a 2-mile stretch, must have been an easy stretch to drive, and he ran through the 2-minute offense, mentally rehearsing it. He called it getting the answers to the test before he took the test, whatever play it was. I mentioned a surgeon that I know that goes through 3 different surgeries on the way to work between her home and the hospital, because she knows at some point she's going to need to do those surgeries, and she needs to be sharp on them. We are planning so that when we get there, we've already been there. We don't have to think. We respond with our plan. Another way to do this, to get us to the carefree play, is constant communication. I watched the air show yesterday, and you know those pilots are constantly communicating because they are like this far away from each other, going 100 miles an hour. They're going this way, and boom, they change their direction. It looks like they're going to crash. It is amazing, as you know, but it's constant communication. If they blink at the wrong time, it's disaster. So they already have the plan. They know exactly what they're doing, and then they trust it because they're not in their own head. They're observing, taking things in real time because they're in it, and then putting that information to use immediately. These are great ways to help us play carefree. When we're in it, we are able to flow through the process, and that's where we need to be. So we can avoid being careful and careless. It's going to happen, but we can avoid being there too long if we notice it. It's about being able to shift. It's about re-engineering how we are when we're playing carefree. What success look like? Success leaves clues. We don't have to get success clues from other people. We can look at our own successes, pull those out, and then recreate them. Put ourselves in that state, or that as close to that state as possible, as often as possible. We can think about what makes us careless and careful, and we can think about how to interact or change those situations so that we can move toward the carefree play. But noticing and shifting is key. We're going to be careless. We are going to be careful, but we want to be carefree as often as possible. So this week, as you're talking with your teams or whoever it is you lead, get them to think about what it feels like. What are they doing? What are they thinking? How are they acting? What's coming out of their mouths? What do they look like when they're carefree? And conversely, when they're on the other side, in the careful and careless, and pull out what they need to learn to get there more often and avoid the other two types of caring. I wish you a great week. If I can come and work with your team on things just like this, JulieJ@ssbperformance.com, or give me a call. I'd love to come to your campus or work virtually. Until next week, think about how you care, be carefree, manage the moments, and have a great week.